Yeah. Bills Mafia.
You too, man.
See ya.
Now bringing in our final guest for the show. It's NFL Fan of the Year finalist, works with Tom Ernest, who is a frequent guest of the program as well. It's Ian Big E Berger of Dolphins Talk. Ian, how's it going? It's your first time appearance on the show here. Thanks for making the time.
Things are going great, guys, and I do appreciate you inviting me to the show. Mike said, "Hey, can anybody come on at 6 o'clock on a Friday night?" And I was like, I will be very happy to do that. I'm the guy who loves talking about Dolphins, as I'm sure you guys love talking about your team as well. So I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I said you were an NFL Fan of the Year finalist. So before we get into the Dolphins stuff, why don't you just tell our viewers, like, you know, what led up to that? I believe you were on Good Morning Football too, right? In a little appearance there.
Yeah, no, I was nominated by a bunch of individuals through social media based on a lot of positive things I do, not only for the Miami Dolphins, but for the Miami Dolphins community, and some stuff that I also do on the personal side, which I end up volunteering about 20 hours a month, providing financial education to low and moderate income families and individuals. So through the process, I was whittled down from 32 to the top 8 in the National Football League. And then I got notified. They invited me down to Hard Rock, and they told me that I made it to the top 3 and I was going to the Super Bowl. So at that time, I didn't know if I was going to be the top NFL Fan of the Year, but that honor went to the Tennessee Titan Fan of the Year, Brandon Galloway. Super guy, does amazing things with kids in the Tennessee area. So I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I got an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. So I feel like I won. In addition to that, I am going to be flown to Cleveland along with the 31 other Fans of the Year for the draft in a couple of weeks. And and we will be announcing rounds 4 through 7 draft picks at the upcoming draft for our teams, for our individual teams. So it's been an amazing journey so far, and I'm very proud to be able to represent the Dolphins fan base.
Yeah, well, it sounds like all that is well deserved. So good for you. And you know, I'm not from Miami, but still, thanks for all the good that you do. You know, it seems like you're making the world a better place than you found it. And you know, love people that do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And of course, you won't be announcing the first pick that the Dolphins have. Unfortunately, I feel like that might be a little more exciting, but it's still really important to talk about the first round. Obviously, when they traded back with San Francisco. Did that verify for you that Tua is the guy moving forward, or did you have any doubt after the last season? Did you think they might go quarterback round 1?
So it's interesting you mentioned that, because the fan base in Miami, and actually the Miami Dolphins fan base around the world, you have this group of individuals that said they were really sure that Deshaun Watson was going to be the guy, and the Dolphins were going to make a play for that. But the interesting thing, and you guys probably deal with this as well in your neck of the woods. You know, we had all these rumors that were swirling, but they were all swirling from Deshaun Watson's camp, you know, and yeah, we had some media members that said, you know, this was the rumor that was going to be taking place, but this offseason, especially, and the off seasons that we've had since Chris Greer and Coach Flores have been at the helm, there have been 0 rumors that have come true for the Miami Dolphins. And you guys probably get that a lot too, right? You see, oh, rumor this person's coming, rumor this is going to happen. So I never felt that was truly a consideration, unless it was going to be for a very, very cheap package. And I didn't see the Dolphins giving up on Tua, to be honest with you. I think I am of the belief that, you know, this young man who experienced a life-altering event when he when he had his hip injured, you know, you've got to give him more than just a half a season to see what he's really able to do. And that half a season without a preseason, without, you know, off-season work with wide receivers, you know, you've got to give him that full opportunity before you can really make a determination if this guy is going to be good or not. Right. So that's, you know, here's what I'm saying. And I understand everybody who said Watson prior to all of his legal situation was going to be an upgrade. And I understand that too. And would I have been upset? I probably would have been a little deflated because Tua wasn't our guy, but I would have been supporting Watson either way. Right. Because whoever's in the colors, that's who I'm supporting at the end of the day. But I was rooting for Tua because, you know, he just seems like such a good kid, and he's really able to rally the team members in the locker room. So I was hoping for him. And I think now, as you mentioned, with the trade, right, with the trade of the picks, I think it is very clear that the Dolphins are sticking with Tua. And now, of course, too, with what's going on the legal side, for Deshaun, I think that makes it even clearer that all the Dolphins fans are saying we're now behind Tua, and let's see what he can do in year 2.
What are the things you saw from Tua that leads you to have so much confidence in him? Because obviously, you know, we as Bills fans, we know Dean Marlowe picked him off twice, not to bring up old wounds and reopen them. But, you know, it's and we have no room to talk because Josh Allen's rookie campaign was far from perfect. So, and especially, you know, AJ Epinesa, another rookie last year, took a while to come into his own and came on at the end of the year. So what do you like that you saw from Tua?
So what's interesting is that I agree that Tua's first season had its ups and downs. He was not a great quarterback. And I think to even say he was a good quarterback would be probably very polite, very nice, right? Because of, and I'm honest when I say that the Dolphins succeeded last year largely due to their defense. You know, we had one of the top 5 defenses in the NFL. Actually, I think we were top 3 until we played that last game against Buffalo. But we were the top 5 defense in the league leading up to that last game. And they scored some points and they made differences when we needed them. And of course, too, having Ryan Fitzpatrick be able to come in and be our closer on some games, that did help as well, right? But here's, I think, the guys that are pro Tua, the guys that we call anti Tua, I think we can all agree that this next second year, now that Tua has an off-season workout, now that he is figuring out timing routes with the wide receivers, now that he's going to have a preseason before the regular season starts, and now that he's also going to be protected by second-year offensive linemen, I think everybody says he's going to play better this year than he did last year. How that's going to be, how much better, that's yet to be seen. But I don't think he can play much worse, let's be honest. And I don't expect him to play at the same level as he did last year.
And so, you know, looking at some of the additions that Miami has made this year, you know, how do you feel about the offseason? How would you grade what they've done so far, adding players before the draft?
I think it's probably a B. I think, you know, and again, as I was mentioning, there were a lot of rumors swirling around like, oh, the Miami Dolphins are going to pick up Aaron Jones. We need a, you know, we need a running back there, right?
I was happy when that didn't happen. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I would have loved you guys to throw money at him, but at the same time, you know, the second it's a Sunday at 1 p.m. and we play you guys, I'd be scared to face him.
Right. And then the rumors were about all these wide receivers that were going to be heading down to Miami, right? And I think what we have learned, and I was predicting this actually last season and the year before, is that this is a different Miami Dolphins team than what we're used to as a Miami Dolphins fan base. As a Dolphins fan base, we're used to huge splashes in the offseason. We're used to an Ndamukong Suh signing at the largest contract in history, right? So this offseason and the last couple of off seasons have been, all right, we're going to spend the money in the right places. Yeah, we spent a lot more money last season than we did the prior, but that was because 2 years ago we were truly rebuilding and we really spent some nice capital last year. But now we're in the 3rd year of the rebuild, and now we're able to start saying, all right, we don't have as many holes as we had before. So now we're just going to find some folks that that will fit our system. And from the offseason perspective, you know, Will Fuller is probably the most important player out of this free agent class that we got. Yeah. Because when I think about specifically the Buffalo Bills game, and I remember 13 or 14 catches that were dropped from some of those receiving core, you know, I think that's where we needed a lot of help, is the pass catching side. You know, and injuries didn't help it at all either, but every team experiences the injury. So I'm not going to use that as an excuse, but that's, you know, I think it was a good offseason. I think we are primed to have a really good draft. I'm excited about this draft, just as I have been, you know, the last draft too, when we had a lot of draft capital early on.
Yeah, and shifting focus to the draft, you know, now you're at 12th overall instead of 4th after that San Francisco trade. Easy question. What do you do at 12?
I expected 12 to still have one of those pass catching receivers, right? I still had expected maybe Waddle to drop. Maybe, you know, some people are saying that Devontae Smith is going to drop, which I don't know how that's even possible. But, you know, some of these mock drafts have him going down. And I don't know if you guys remember, but if you saw Kyle Pitts 2 or 3 months ago in mock drafts, he wasn't going till mid to late part of the draft. And now, you know, based on comments, based on his workouts, based on everything else, now they're saying he's going to be a top 10 pick, if not maybe a top 5 pick in the draft. So what I love is that we go through this crazy process every season before the draft. And then when the draft actually happens, everybody's like, we could have never called that, right? We would have never called it the way that the draft actually happened. And I think that's exactly how this one's going to work too.
Do you like staying at 12 instead, or did you like going back up to 6 with that first, with another first round pick? Did you like doing that? What's your thoughts on that?
I like the 12 because of the 2 ones that we would have next year and the 2 ones we would have had the year after that, and because for me, I think as a football team, you always need to be rebuilding. You always need to be bringing in young, talented players. Mm-hmm. So sitting at 12 was not the worst thing in the world. But I will tell you, for that 30 minutes between us going down to 12 and then us coming back up to 6.
All right. I don't know why that third step flipped my, okay.
And that's okay. But Miami Dolphins Twitter was on fire. Because they said, now you're not going to be able to get a wide receiver that you're going to want. Now you're possibly not even going to get a wide receiver at all, even though this draft has a very deep wide receiver core. If you think about, the wide receiver out of UF, and, there's going to be some real value going into the second round and even into the third round for many of the positions that teams are needing. So I was okay with us going down to 12, but when we went back up, a lot of people then started making it, the draft day comparison of the movie Draft Day, how he was wheeling and dealing, man. It's like,
and I want David Putney. And I want David Putney. Yeah, that's what it reminds. I mean, in a short version, it really was kind of like, wow, like they had this deal in mind. They didn't feel comfortable dropping past 6. They'll give out some capital to do so. So at 6, are you sitting there saying, is this Pitts? Are you thinking we can't let one of these receivers go? What do you, it's something about that pick made him scared. So what do you think it was, that they just cannot miss out on a pass catcher? Is that really what set it off?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking. I think you've got the 4 big ones coming out, right? You got Chase, Smith, Pitts, and Waddle. Those are the 4. Yep. So I think by the time you get down to the number 6, you're going to have at minimum 2, right? And there's a lot of question mark in what Atlanta is going to be doing. There's a lot of question mark in what Cincinnati is going to be doing. The best case scenario for the Dolphins right now is, it is all of them, because I think they're all going to be great. I think they're all going to be special. They all have talents, right? And we've seen them in college. And I think putting them together with Tua, I think will be very positive for the team. But here's a possible scenario that we're kind of hoping for. Atlanta just announced this week, or it's gotten out, that their pick is up for sale, right? Who's going to come up to take another quarterback? That could happen. And then Cincinnati's the big question mark, because some people are saying, well, Cincinnati's going to take a pass catcher. Joe Burrow wants Chase, right? Because they played together, right? At LSU.
But Joe Burrow's body wants Penei Sewell. So
and that is my angle, right? I'm saying, how can you ignore the fact that their offensive line was so bad that Burrow got a season-ending injury and go spend such an important pick on another receiver? And again, in my opinion, it's like, how do you throw the ball to one of these great wide receivers if you don't have a good enough offensive line to be able to do it? And they have some good young wide receivers in Cincinnati too. So I don't know if that's the priority, but that's going to be kind of where everything goes. As far as the Dolphins, I'm good with Pitts, and it's kind of grown on me, and it's grown on a lot of Dolphins fans. And I think the reason for that is we have Mike Gesicki, right? And he's a very good pass catcher as a tight end, and if you think about the New England Patriots, where Coach Flores originates from, they've got those 2 tight end sets, even though it's Gronkowski always on one side, and then you had another tight end on the other side. If we get Pitts, he is a matchup nightmare. If you think about it, think about that for a second, right? A linebacker is going to traditionally be the one that covers your tight end, or a safety is going to have to come up to do that. And his arm length, and I don't know if you heard this, but his arm length is the size of Calvin Johnson from Megatron from the Lions. I don't know if you guys knew that. So he is tall. His arm length is huge, and he's going to be a matchup nightmare. So that's why it's kind of grown on me, and to say, if we can get this guy, he can go from the slot, he can go from the tight end spot. He's going to be a difference maker in that position. But again, if they announce, all right, it's Smith, awesome, let's go, because it's an upgrade in a position that we need to be upgraded.
Yeah, at 6, you're kind of, I won't say you're guaranteed, but it seems like you're guaranteed your number 1 pass catcher of the draft, considering Cincinnati goes offensive tackle, which I think they should. And I may have slipped up saying that you had pick 12 instead of pick 6, but where I haven't slipped up, great segue, is when I've been shaving lately using my Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0. I know I'm great with those. Look, oh my God, Big E's a Manscaped guy.
I got my 3.0, man. I love that thing with the light at the end. That is awesome.
I was going to say, shaving without a headlight is like driving in a blizzard in Buffalo without your high beams on. It's the same exact thing. I said that on Trainwreck Fantasy Baseball. Catch us next Wednesday again. We'll be live. And now that's in my pitch for this all the time. Got to get through this little read here. You know, Manscaped. The show is brought to you by Manscaped, best in men's below the waist grooming, offering precision engineered tools for your family jewels and mine. They pride themselves in technological developments that really provide the best grooming experience, as Big E knows. They are trusted by 2 million men worldwide. I get thrown off having another Manscaped guy in here. It's crazy. It's insane.
I love the products, man. I you know, we talk about it too at Dolphins Talk, and you know, if you smell some of their product, like they have some, and they also came out with a recent cologne.
Yes.
It smells amazing. And it's something you don't normally like. I'm really picky when it comes to like aftershave and cologne and things like that. But that one is awesome. And I love it. And I use it all the time. It's amazing.
We'll take his word for it. Take my word for it. Use promo code Trainwreck for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Promo code Trainwreck, 20% off free shipping, unless you're tuning in because Big E, you know, shared this on Twitter and you're from his show, then use his promo code. We're not trying to steal your customer.
No, it's your show, man. It's all you, buddy. It's all you.
But you know, getting back to talking some Dolphins here. You know, going over to the defensive side, or actually, I first wanted to ask about Malcolm Brown because you did sign him instead of Aaron Jones. The running back room was a little bit of a mess last year, not just because the players weren't good. Like the players actually performed relatively well for, you know, their experience levels. And for Matt Breida, who we now have, you know, with his, you know, all the injuries he had. But do you see Malcolm Brown as a potential lead guy? Is it going to be a tandem kind of thing with like him and Salvon Ahmed and all those guys?
I think that we are going to pick up a running back in either the first or second round. And I'm going to say more or less it's probably going to be in the second round.
Yeah.
Everybody,
you don't see Najee Harris in the middle of the round there with that pick?
I think everybody would love for Najee Harris to be our 18 pick. And it wouldn't bother me either, because have you seen the guy's thighs? His thighs are like bigger than my head, right?
They're nice thighs.
He's and you know, who does he remind you of? He reminds you of maybe Derrick Henry, right? From Tennessee. That's what a lot of people say. This guy has the same build as Henry. So that's why I say I wouldn't mind it, because he can make a difference for any team that he ends up joining. But going back to Coach Flores, where his pedigree comes from, when you think about the Patriots, they've only once that I know of in the past 15 or 20 years have spent a first round draft pick on a running back. And that was Sony Michel.
Yeah.
They turn running backs, but they get use out of them, right? And they don't usually have one guy who's going to run 1,500 yards in a season. So that's why I don't think the Dolphins are going to take a running back in the with the number 18 pick. Even though I know our fan base, they would love, like, if he's there and the Dolphins don't pick him at number 18, there are going to be some upset Dolphins fans, because they're going to say we had this opportunity. Now, in the second round, right? Travis Etienne is there. You got Javonte there from North Carolina. Even the other running back from North Carolina that could be an opportunity later on in the second round. Those could be very good possibilities. And I think that will end up being who your number one running back is. Malcolm Brown, he's going to end up probably being your third down back. I think that's what we have been missing, if you think about it, right? 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. You didn't have that go-to running back that you can give the ball to who's going to get you that first down. And I think that's going to be Malcolm Brown's spot, because he does seem to be a little more powerful, where Salvon Ahmed and our other running backs really try and get outside more than running straight through the line. So that's my opinion on that situation.
How did you feel about the Jason Sanders contract? Because that was a little bit of a head scratcher to me.
We really like Jason Sanders in Miami. We really do, you know, and you see stories about kickers around the league, how they will lose you football games And Jason Sanders started last year on a tear. I think he ended up with like 20 something or 30 kicks in a row without missing one.
He was great for my fantasy team. I'm going to thank him for getting better Mahomes and Gardens the win last year in the chip.
There you go. Exactly. So that's the reason why we love him, right? He'll make those 50-yarders. He'll make the 30-yarders consistently, you know, and when you find that type of player, you got to hold on to him. And yeah, I think he got a couple $1 million in his new contract. He's going to be with us for a couple of years, and I like that.
Well, yeah, it's good to hear that coming out of my. I mean, not good from a Bills perspective. I was hoping you'd be mad that you paid that much money to a kicker, but maybe I'm more. Call me great. I'm more interested in, you know, Brian Flores' report card than the defenses after last year, because I think we know the defense is going to be a relatively solid unit. And so, you know, maybe we'll get to that after this. But I feel like his biggest issue, it seems like he's a great leader, you know, great culture guy, but his personnel decisions might leave some people wondering what's going on up there. So how do you grade out Brian Flores after his first little bit with Miami?
I'm actually really upbeat and optimistic about him. And here's the reason for that. 2 years ago, when he was given this team and basically we tore it down, you know, we traded out Minka Fitzpatrick. We traded out our offensive lineman to Texas, who is and then it ended up turning into like 5 first-round picks. And
that's one of the greatest trades in NFL history.
Yeah, Laramie Tunsil going was one of the best trades ever, and I think it will continue to go down. I think it's going to be that thing that continues to give, because again, we just traded down from the 3 pick, and San Francisco's pick is the one that we're keeping next year. And if San Francisco is rebuilding, then we're going to have another top early pick that we could potentially trade for more first round. But so anyway, so with
it's like me and Madden, it's crazy.
Yeah. So that year, that was the year supposedly Tank for Tua, which I wasn't on board for Tank for Tua. I was trying to win as many games as you possibly can. And we won 5 games. No one expected us to win 5 games with that roster that we had. And that was a lot to do with Coach Flores and the way that he put people in the right positions to succeed, right? He really got everything out of those guys. This past year, and I'll ask you guys this, if someone would have told you at the beginning of the season, right, that the Miami Dolphins were going to be 10-6 going into the last game of the season for a playoff spot, would you have believed them?
Absolutely. I almost started with absolutely not, but I was kind of high on them last year, but 10-6, no, maybe 9-7. Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's my point. And I think that the way that Coach Flores has made some decisions to get players in the right spots, you know, to find these outliers that may be good for 1 season or 2 seasons and then just plug and play. I think that is reminiscent of what you would see in New England, you know, and I know some people are upset about what happened with Kyle Van Noy. You know, he came in, he signed this contract that basically said he could be let go after 1 season, and he came in and did what he needed to do. But what I see about Coach Flores that's very different from the last 4 or 5 coaches that we've had with the Dolphins is we're trying to develop the players that we draft. When we had Adam Gase would spend top dollars to try and get somebody else's great player and make them work here. Well, it doesn't work if you don't coach them right, if you don't put them in the right schemes together. I mean, a name, Emmanuel Ogbah, that was a name that nobody really knew. The guy had 9 sacks this year, right? Xavier Howard was playing out of his mind this season, right? So I think he's done a very, very good job. I think the leap from 5-11 to 10-6 has a lot to do with Coach Flores. And here's the other point too. I don't think there's many coaches in the NFL right now that would have switched quarterbacks mid-game or 3rd quarter in the game as Coach Flores did. I think a lot of coaches are out there that believe you don't take players out. You know, it might hurt their psyche. It might affect them next week. Coach Flores is like, I'm trying to win games. We are in a playoff race right now, and I'm going to do what I can to get us there. And there's not a lot of coaches that would take those steps to make their team as good as it can possibly be. So I like that about Coach Flores. I think he's going to tell you you're good or you're not good. And he is serious when he says everyone is competing in training camp. Everyone is competing during practices, and he is going to put the best players on the field, regardless of how high you were drafted or regardless of how much money you're making in free agency.
Yeah, that sounds similar to the Sean McDermott philosophy. Honestly.
Yeah, I was going to say
rebuilding. Yeah. I'll let you take. Go ahead, Kevin.
I was going to say he came in, gutted roster, 9-7 playoffs, ended the drought. Next year, no roster, rebuilt, developed a team, played well down the stretch. Came into the following year, 10 and same type of thing, 10-6 playoffs again, and then into this year 13-3. Played phenomenal football and a bunch of playoff games. And I mean, yeah, it's similar guys there. And people in New England, we've talked to them, they got to be a little scared. I mean, they're looking at Buffalo, they're looking at Miami, and they're saying, uh-oh. Like they're saying, uh-oh. I mean, that's not what they expected to see from the teams that they're usually used to seeing at 6-10. So it's a good changing of the guard to bring this back to the early 90s and the days that were fun for us. But maybe not New England when they were awful in the 90s.
Here's the only thing that I say to Patriots fans is that they've had it really, really good the last 20 years. If you're 25 years old, you've spent every year after you were 5 years old celebrating championships, division championships, Super Bowl championships. It is not going to be easy to replace Tom Brady. We always thought it was going to be easy to replace Dan Marino. I'm sure a lot of Buffalo fans thought it would be really easy to replace Jim Kelly, right? But here you guys are. You finally found somebody that could do that. And to your point, and I know you mentioned this a little earlier, I keep going back to Josh Allen's first year, and I say, had Buffalo given up on Josh Allen after one season, there's no way they would have been where they were last year. So why should the Dolphins give up on Tua after a half a season and not even having a preseason? So I want us to do exactly like you guys did. You got a Stephon Diggs, and that just changed the entire complexity of your offense. Yep. We need to get ourselves a Stephon Diggs to let Tua be able to throw that ball down the field. So
yeah, that's complete. So behind him, you had Ryan Fitzpatrick, a guy near and dear to the hearts of Western New York, a guy that's loved here that we still love. We'll comment good things about Buffalo anytime we get. We'd love to see that toss up against Las Vegas, just with his face mask being ripped off, and big win by Miami there. Thought for sure that would knock him out then and there. The closer. But what's your opinion on going from him to Brissett? I mean, that's got to matter a little bit in the locker room.
I think for me personally, I think it's a good move. I loved Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't think you can find anybody that didn't enjoy Ryan Fitzpatrick. But I think for Tua's purpose, I think Tua needs to know now, this is it, man. This is your team. You're going to win or lose. We're not going to see. Yeah, we're not going to have a closer situation. So Brissett has similar style to Tua, and I think that the only reason that Brissett could possibly go in is if for some reason Tua gets hurt, which I sure as heck hope does not happen. But I think if we're down by 20 points, I don't see Coach Flores changing quarterbacks this year.
Do you see him doing what Indy did with the little moves of coming in for Phillip Rivers on certain plays? Do you see that happening?
It could be, and they also did that in New Orleans too, right? With Breeze. Yeah, exactly.
And the three. Yeah,
they did three. They had like a 3-person rotation there.
Flores, I don't know if you guys remember that we with our special teams when we were going for kicking field goals, Flores got extremely creative where our punter passed it to the kicker and we
who's
got
now a Bill, by the way.
Yes. That's right. He's your kicker, right? That's right. Matt Hack?
Hunter, Hawk. It's Hawk, right? Not Hack.
I don't remember. I always call them Hack, H-A-A-C-K. Could be Hawk. I could be completely wrong, but he's a good guy.
Sound up in Buffalo is an ass. So
the Bills paid, like we were talking kickers laughing about that, but the Bills paid him not a lot, but they paid him enough to be a punter, and they chose him over their current punter, as Corey Bajorquez, who was not great to me, and which is proof that he's not on a team right now. But they picked the Dolphins punter. I'm laughing about it because I think they liked some of that versatility that the punter showed through Flores. So I think that's full circle there.
Nice. Well, we'll see. Hopefully you guys aren't putting the same play against the Dolphins, but we'll end up seeing. We'll see how that works.
Well, I know we're going to get out of here soon, but I did want to ask, because we asked Tyson, forgot to ask Mark because I'm an idiot sometimes, but how do you view the rest of the division? In terms of who's the biggest threat to, I know I say threat to the Bills because now that's weird. They're the top dog of the division. I'll ask. I put out a Twitter poll earlier asking this. Jets, Patriots, Dolphins. What do you think the percentage vote was for the Dolphins? How many people said the Dolphins are the biggest
out of 100%? Yeah.
So I retweeted that tweet to Miami Dolphins Nation. So I have a feeling it'll be 90% Dolphins and like 3% Jets. Maybe.
Well, we actually got a retweet from Mark and Tyson too. So it hit everybody. So
nice. I do think, honestly, even if I didn't retweet it, I would have said the Dolphins are right now going to be the biggest threat for the Bills. Then I would say behind that will be the Jets. And you know, and some people say, well, why not the Patriots? Well, it's all going to depend on what they do in the draft.
Yeah.
If they still keep Cam Newton as their starting quarterback, he was not good last year. He was so if he is their answer at starting quarterback for this season, it's going to be another tough season for the Patriots. And now they might jump up. I heard they were talking to Atlanta for possibly, you know, trying to jump up to get to that quarterback spot where they can pick someone. So we'll see how that happens. I guess it's all going to depend on what happens in the draft, but I think it's the Dolphins, the Jets, then the Patriots, and we'll see.
The poll results right now, 82.6% Dolphins. So you're pretty right there. Patriots 16%, and Jets. I know 2 of my friends picked the Jets as a joke, and they're at 1.5%. I think that gets out to about 4 or 5 votes there. So you know, we'll see if that holds up. But you know, Ian, I really appreciate you taking the time here. Why don't you just remind everybody where they can find your work if any Bills fans are interested in some Dolphins content?
Yeah, no, I actually have a lot of Bills fans that follow me. I'm on Twitter at Ian693. Our content, though, we do put on a weekly podcast with DolphinsTalk.com that comes out. We do a live show every Wednesday evening at 7:45. And then when the Dolphin season comes, when football season starts up again, I start doing a 2-minute drill every Wednesday, just kind of compacting all the news for the week in a 2-minute time period. And then I'm also on YouTube at Big E. You have to do Big E Miami Dolphins, or else you're going to find a pretty successful wrestler that is that's out there. So Big E Miami Dolphins, you'll find my YouTube page. But that's me, a little bit of everything.
Are you right in the Miami Fort Lauderdale area, or where are you?
Yep, I'm in Fort Lauderdale. I'm actually just west of Fort Lauderdale. So
Las Olas?
Close, not far. I'm close. Love Las Olas though, but it's not like Miami. If you go to South, if you want to go, you know, if you want to find something like Las Olas, go down to Miami. South Beach is a way to go.
Spent some time at the Clevelander myself. So
nice, very nice.
Some good times down there. A lot of Bills fans. How do you deal with that?
You know, I have some friends that are Bills fans, and I have to say that the generation of Bills fans today are not the generation of Bills fans that we saw in the 90s. You know, and if you think about where we were in the 90s, and I know you guys are probably a little younger than I am, but the 90s, we were at each other's throats. If you were a Bills fan, I'm not going to tell you the shirt I used to wear to the games with my dad.
So.
Okay. All right. Well,
I was born after the 4 Super Bowls. So.
Okay. All right. So
I was born in the 80s.
So I was in the generation, and I was really big in the Dolphins when we had Brian Cox. And I don't know if you've heard all the stories.
We have a son now. On the Bills.
Exactly. Well, and he helped to kind of drive some of that animosity between the two teams. So that was tough. But nowadays, Bills fans are very nice to me. Although Mike actually lives near Buffalo from the Dolphins Talk site.
Yep.
Yeah, and he said that Bills fans are not very nice to him. And believe it or not, what's funny is we have a lot of Dolphins fans that live in Buffalo, and they said
Weird.
during the playoffs, they were like, during the playoffs, we saw like yard signs about Josh Allen, about the Bills, about, you know, all these things.
He's in Syracuse, which is an interesting market. It's a bad sport. They love their college sports. It's a bad sports market. And that probably leads to some of that volatility. I'm in Rochester, New York, which is in the middle of Syracuse and Buffalo. And I went to high school with 15% of Dolphins fans.
Wow.
So,
that is a lot. That's a lot.
Yep.
Now, if we just need to win, and we'll experience exactly what you guys experienced, you know, being able to win a playoff game and go deep into the playoffs. And, you know, hopefully it's the Dolphins and Bills again, man. That would be ideal for everyone. I think relive this
would be crazy. I mean, because we almost had a Bills Cleveland AFC Championship. We were a play or two away. Chad Henne run away.
Henne scramble.
Ex Miami Dolphin. Thank you.
That's
very
right.
much.
It's all full circle always. And Baker Mayfield probably would have won that game without that scramble.
Sure.
So it was same thing though. Back on point. Bills Dolphins could happen when we almost saw Bills Browns AFC Championship game. So.
Times are changing, man.
It's close, man. We really appreciate you coming out, though.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having us on. And obviously, anytime you want a Dolphins perspective, please feel free. Myself, I know Mike is always trying to get himself jumped on as well. So let us know.
Like a high Jordan Boyer, can you catch it? Trade day is like a mask, you're not catching anything. Matt Milano making plays, we not scared of any team. Best in the AFC.